is to give you an overview of the tools that we are going to be using during this course. There are a number of tools. I'm going to try to keep this relatively brief so that I don't overwhelm you. But I think all of these tools are really important, and I hope that in the course of this week of working with these tools, you'll find that they contribute to your workflow in general. I know that they have certainly helped me to change my workflow in a really positive way. So one of the tools, the main tool, probably that we're going to be using, the reason that you signed up for this course, is the R programming language. You will need to download this for your computer if you haven't already. You'll see here that there's some news about the latest R that's come out, so they're always updating the programming language. It's a very friendly community. I'm glad that you've all decided that you're interested in learning about this. There are many different programming languages, of course, in the world, and but this one is a really friendly community, and I think it's a growing community, and the programming language is very versatile. It does a lot of really useful stuff. So I'm going to recommend that you just visit this website, rproject.org, rproject.org. It'll bring you here, and then you can go to download R, and you'll find that it'll ask you where your mirror is. Just pick a place that's close by. If you choose something wrong, it probably doesn't matter, but just choose one of these mirrors, and then you're going to download for your system. If you're using Linux, you'll download from there. Of course, I'm on a Mac, so you, talk to me if you have questions about the way I do things with a Mac. And Lisa is on a Windows machine, I believe, and she can help you with Windows-related stuff. We can both help with either of those things. But go ahead and download your version. If you've done this in the past, and it's not in the very recent past, then I recommend that you do it again now for this course, because it is important that we don't have really old, we're not working on really old versions of R, that we all have relatively up-to-date version of the programming language, because some things that change can derail our process. So go ahead and get the latest version so that we don't have to deal, so that we're all on the same page with the programming language, and then we'll move on to the next cool tool that we'll be using within this week, and that is RStudio. RStudio, so the R programming language is just a language, and the RStudio is a software that we can use to interface with that programming language. R comes with its own UI, or its own user interface, and that actually works just fine. But it's not, RStudio just has a lot of versatility. It can do many different things, and even if you are working, especially I would say, if you are working in other programming languages, or if you're working in other kinds of, working on producing other kinds of figures and documents, I would really recommend getting used to using RStudio. So that's another benefit of this course, is that you get to know this really cool project. The team, the community, again, with RStudio is very friendly. This is a social entrepreneur, some kind of social entrepreneurship. So you could, if you wanted to, you could buy something from them, but most of us just are using the free version, and that is just fine. It actually works really well. It doesn't have all of this versatility as the other paid versions do, but it's perfectly fine, and a really nice user interface about RStudio. Let me see if I can open something for you. I'm opening now the lecture slides for this course. That's a data wrangling, something I'm not going to talk about now, but just you'll see it in the future. What you've got in your R interface, in your RStudio interface, is you've got these sort of 4 panels, okay? The 4 panels, so let's start here on the upper left. This is where will mainly be working in R script. So I've advocated for us to be just scripting directly in R script. So that's a file called an R script. It ends with a .r. So it's a type of file called an R script. This panel up here is where you're basically writing things that you can save. So in many ways, like a Word document or the main kind of tools that you use for interfacing with written language. That's what's happening up here in this panel. Down here, you've got your direct interface with R. So this part is basically what you get as your UI with the R programming language, that native user interface. You can just write here anything you want about R into the R programming language, but you don't save that. This you can save as a file, and this you just write and communicate directly with the R language. You've got also terminal here, so you can communicate with your computer if you're used to doing that, and there are a number of other things. This changes depending on which types of packages you're running. Up here you've got your environment, and for those of you who have done work with me in the past, you'll also have your Git repository, or who will do work with me in the future, you'll also have that. That's maybe something for a future course, but those advanced students who are familiar with Git, I can give you, or I will actually give you the link to all of these course materials on GitHub. And finally, down here you've got your files. So the way RStudio works, and we're going to say this again probably later in the course, but the way RStudio works is that you actually create a project. So this is an RStudio project. So once you've downloaded RStudio on your computer, then you will open the program and you will save your project. You'll save an RStudio project. Here I am in teaching R. That's our course right here. So you save it with and it has the extension rproj. And the location of this project, this is very important. The location of this project is should be filed in a way that it stays in that location, and the files that it refers to, all of the related files, are in the same level. Let's say they're all in the same folder together, or that is the head and there are subfolders from there, where all of your files related to that particular project are saved. So what that means, and this is a bigger story, and if you have questions about this, I do recommend that you do some research on how to file things on your computer. Now, this is a big question. Where do I store stuff on my computer? And a lot of people do it just straight away on the desktop. You can see I have a few things here on my desktop, but these are more or less temporary things, okay? These are things that are just going to be there for a moment and then gone. But things that are important, I recommend that you have not only a local backup, but also some kind of a cloud backup, however you want to do that. There's Sciebo, there's Dropbox, I'm using Dropbox. There's GitHub, I'm also using GitHub. There are a number of options, Google Drive, who knows, lots of options. But find a way to back that up. And second of all, find a way to file things in a logical way that doesn't change. So you file your PhD project, for example, somewhere deep within this folder structure, or not too deep, let's say, and then that's where you keep your PhD-related work, etc. Maybe this coursework could be somewhere in a folder called Courses. I have lectures here, teaching R, and that's where I keep that R project. It's always going to be there, and all the files related to this project are in the same folder, and the subfolders contain different parts of this course. You see, I'm going to teach you about, or we're going to be talking about wrangling, visualization, a number of other things. This is actually going to be updated as we go along through the course. But anyway, that's where I've saved my R project. So the way that works is just to go RStudio, you open RStudio, you want to start a new project, and then you'll choose that existing directory, in my case, again, because I have this file structure that I like, it's going to be on Dropbox, because that's where I back everything up, contributions, lectures, and ZEF Teaching R. I'm not going to save it because it's already there, but that's how my filing structure works, and I do recommend that you think carefully, if you haven't already, about your file structure. Talk to your colleagues and see what they're doing for file structures, and make a plan. Really make a plan for how you're filing things on your computer. This is going to save you a lot when you start working with programming languages. If R is your first, I congratulate you. I feel really like you're really fortunate to be interfacing with R for the first programming language. If you've been using others in the past, then you'll know how important it is that you have a good filing structure. So think about your file structure. That's where you're going to save your RStudio project in that folder where you know it's always going to be, and all the files related to it are also stored. Now, that's RStudio. Now I'm going to talk to you also about another thing called Sciebo. So some people call it Sciebo, I think it's supposed to be Sciebo. And Sciebo is where we'll be probably filing the big heavy video files. We'll also be putting all the files related to each day of lectures, or each day of this week-long interaction that we're having, an intensive online R learning process. So this is a place, obviously, if you found this video, I think you somehow are using Sciebo. You can download a local Sciebo project. You can download all of the contents onto your own. You can use Sciebo as a cloud. I recommend finding out more about that and figuring out to which extent you would like to interface with this. I do not interface with this very much, so I'm only using this for this course, but you'll find here your folder and you'll find the materials. And please ask if there are any questions, ask your colleagues, and do get in touch if this doesn't make sense. But I think you probably could figure it out. It's just like Dropbox. You get a link, or like any other file sharing system, you get a link and you can access stuff that's in there. So that's Sciebo, relatively straightforward. We're also going to be using, this is all free software, so we're also going to be using Slack. Slack is a way for us to overcome the extreme burden of sharing lots of emails with each other, which I think easily gets overwhelming for a course, and is already quite overwhelming in general for academics everywhere, for any kind of business people, and for anyone working with large teams. Large team, I would say, is more than 2 people. And even with just 2 people, it can get really overwhelming with emails. So Slack, you're just going to visit slack.com. Okay, slack.com will bring you here. Let's see if that works. Slack.com. Yeah, slack.com. Bring you here. You're going to find out if you want to learn more about this really incredible project. It's super useful. Imagine a repository of all your data and files, a collection of all the emails that you're sending, to a searchable collection, of easily searchable collection of emails that you've been sending back and forth in your team, together with all the files in an easily findable structure, and WhatsApp or some other chat message system, all wrapped into one in a really friendly user interface. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to also want to probably download a local copy of this. It's not totally necessary. And if you just look here at solutions, I think that's a link here, learn more. Yeah, you can find out more about Slack and all the things that it can do. So I have downloaded Slack on my machine. and I've created a group space for us. So there's a little ZEF R Course Slack group. I'll send you the link for that. And we're going to use this each day for any ideas that come up. And you're just going to use this for a place to talk about what's going on. And yeah, you could even give each other like emojis or things like this. But what's more important is that I can send messages here within our group. So I can send a message to someone, anyone individually. Here's some exchange I've had with Lisa on developing this course, but also for the day. Let's say, for example, day one basics, something's just confusing, you don't get it, you can send a message here, and either we or one of your colleagues will follow up, or we'll bring it up in the face-to-face discussions that we have in the mornings. So yeah, go ahead and get Slack. This is going to help a lot. And we can actually link to all the materials that are in Sciebo. So I've put that here. We've got a general chat room, and I've put the link here to Sciebo right at the top, so you can find Sciebo there. Let's see if we can, there you go, just open Sciebo straight away. I tried that with an incognito, and that worked as well. So, and finally, all of these materials are in an open access repository. All of the programming materials that I'm going to be sharing for those advanced students who are using Git, all of the materials are available in github.com. CW Whitney, that's me, Cory W. Whitney. And then if you go to my repository, you'll find Teaching R among my repositories. Check it out. Feel free to make a copy of this on your machine. And yeah, it'll be changed throughout the course, so I'll keep updating it. This isn't necessary, you don't need to have this, but kudos to you if you get it. And if there's time, we can also discuss how this works and what the versatility, what the usability of this is, why I have this as a scientist in my workflow. So I believe that's all I wanted to share with you right now for getting ready for the course. You need R, you need RStudio, right? Okay, R, you need RStudio. You need to be able to access the Sciebo. That's less important than accessing the Slack. Okay, and don't worry about GitHub or Git if you don't already use that. But if you are interested, I would like to tell you more about it. So thanks very much, and I'm looking forward to this week of working with you.